entertain a motion to reconvene the open session of Hillsboro School District Board of Education. Are you first? First and second, Mr. McCarthy. First, Mr. Harrison, and second, Mr. McCarthy. Just a moment. All those in favor of reconvening the open session for the Hillsboro School District Board of Education meeting, please raise your hand. It passes 7-0. If you would please stand if you can, and we'll say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have no special recognitions at this time. Visitors to address the Board of Education, we had none scheduled to sign up, or none signed up, none scheduled, I'm sorry. We do have the ones signed up.
Aaron Dubin, up first in cross country meet, and McKean, up first in the first cross country. I don't think it's ever been done in the history of this school. McKean gets a good grade.
So, on the sign-ups to speak, did the four of you come up with Mr. Good? Before you speak, there's something that I need to read here somewhere. The Hillsboro Board of Education encourages patrons to attend open meetings and express their views on matters that are directly related to our school district. We ask that patrons wishing to speak familiarize themselves with Board Policy BDDH1, and specifically the portion of the policy that states the Board President may interrupt or end any comments related to a topic that can legally be discussed in executive session. And the opinion of the Board President should not be discussed in open session. We ask that you keep your comments general in nature and not individually identifiable. Please realize that individuals speaking to the board are legally responsible for their comments. You'll be allowed 3 minutes to address the board. You, Mr. Good, will have 5 because you're speaking for a group. Please limit your comments to topics that are appropriate to bring before the board. The board president may interrupt you if your comments stray into an area that should not be discussed in open session. The Missouri Sunshine Law limits the ability of board members to respond to your comments. Consequently, it is unlikely that the board will engage in a discussion of your topic during this meeting. Mr. Kimball.
We did not vote on anything. We've given him 5. We should give them all 5. We should have a vote that allows them to have 5 minutes. There should be a vote on it.
Mr. Harrison, we're following board policy and the practice of our board and the way we have done it. Right now, you're eating into Mr. Good's time. So, Mr. Good, if you would go ahead, please.
First, I want to thank everybody, the board, for giving me the time to speak. I want to thank the great crowd that's here this evening to support our kiddos, and that's what they're here for. This isn't about not supporting one, it's about supporting all. Is that better, Dave? So what I said was, I just want to thank the great crowd for being here to support all of our children in this district and not singling anyone out. But I had some notes from some of the others that wanted to speak. I want to kind of touch base on some of that first. One of the gentlemen, I apologize, I'm not sure what his name was, but he wanted to talk about this being really an opportunity to teach our children about selflessness and not selfishness, to where this is an opportunity for one to set aside maybe their desires and so on for the comfort of everybody else. And I think that was the main point that he wanted to make this evening. Mrs. McAllister had a petition that she had drafted, and I'm not sure how many signatures. I think there's, she's got 50 or 60, I guess, on here, maybe more. I'm going to read that for her. What she drafted was: to the Hillsboro R3 board members and superintendent, this petition and signatures that follow are registered taxpayers and voters of R3 schools. We want the practice of allowing confused teenagers that want to be something they are not sexually, but are being given privileges beyond their rights to be stopped immediately. We are addressing the bathroom and locker room situation regarding the person that perceive themselves sexually to be something they aren't, but want to be. You are allowing this person to infringe on everyone else's own sexual and individual rights to privacy. The number, they know what they're sexually and should not be made to tolerate this injustice by teachers, coaches, and the administration by forcing them to undress with this teenager. We are asking that boundaries be set to protect the rest of the teenagers from the embarrassment or uncomfortable feelings they are being forced to deal with by people who should be protecting them in this environment. The boundaries we would like to see implemented by placing them in the school policy and bylaws will be that this person that is, as long as they are sexually intact, that they must dress and use restrooms with their own sexual kind. If there is a medical documentation supplied by a certified doctor to school administration that surgical manipulation has been performed and hormone
Mr. Good, I'm going to have to interrupt you because you're getting into areas that can identify a student.
And I appreciate the board policy, but I would also tell you that FERPA doesn't apply to us, and this really applies to a lot of students. But I want to move on anyway because we're more into my time than I thought it would be. And Mr. Terry, he wanted to point out that he has a daughter that is very uncomfortable in the particular gym class that she's in because of the situation. Most importantly, though, I want to go back to this is about many students and not just one. The school has the responsibility to protect our students, to protect my children, and also to protect my right to parent my children. And I raise my children in a modest environment. I raise my children to believe that they have a right to the privacy of their body, and that is something special that they don't have to share with a member of the opposite sex until they're ready and until their wedding night. And that's what we teach in my household. And to place these children in a situation where they're in a locker room with a member of the opposite sex, in the bathroom with a member of the opposite sex, is not protecting my children or my rights as a parent. I've talked to several school board members about this, and I think that you're in a position where you have a choice to make. And your choice is, and I understand your choice has been, we need to do what we can not to get sued. A lawsuit's going to happen. And you need to decide what position that you want to be defending. I think all of you by now received a letter from myself and the Alliance Defending Freedom giving you a policy that we believe will be held in court. There's the documentation to show you why what is going on now is not the law and what we believe the law should be. And there is a section about why I think you're violating my children's rights and my rights as a parent. So I would just ask that you read that, consider it. I would make myself available at any time for questions from any of you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next, we have Aaron Collier to talk about school sponsorship. You have 3 minutes as your time.
Good evening, my name is Aaron Collier, and I represent the Vaughn Agency, which is the local farmers agency in town. And in an effort to increase our community involvement in our support of the school district, I would like to submit for your approval a farmers-approved and supported sponsorship program between our agency and the high school. The highlights of this program being, can you hear me? Is that better? All right, the highlights of this program being farmers at no cost to the school would provide a sign at the football field, the gymnasium, and the baseball field. The agency would set up a table at 3 sporting events, a fall, a winter, and a spring event, where we would either hand out event programs or participate in a community awareness activity. The agency would also participate in a check presentation at a fall or winter sporting event. And finally, the agency would give $2,000 to the high school. I'll provide my contact information at the administration office. If you have any questions or concerns, you can email me or call me. I appreciate your time and your consideration of this matter.
Thank you. Mark and Kim Reed, volleyball. You have 3 minutes.
3 minutes?
Yes, sir.
So if we come to this again, should we sign them separately, give 5 minutes? You know, a married couple would be allowed that, have you sign it?
Well, it's only if there's more than 2.
Okay. So being married would count as one.
I don't, there's, you both signed your names. You have 3 minutes each. There you go.
Thank you. I'm here for the sole purpose of protecting the young women of our community, just like these folks, on a totally different level. I have no personal agenda whatsoever, but feel that as a community leader, I cannot sit back and watch the high school coach be allowed to bully mentally, physically, our young women.
Getting into, per se, individually identifiable with
There are
staff.
multiple coaches. I've not pointed out any particular one.
I'll ask you to keep
Okay.
it more general, if you would, please.
I will try my best. As a mother, professional, and leader, I want to express my concerns for the welfare of these young women, their parents, teachers, and other coaches who endure this person's behavior in order to have the opportunity to participate in this school sport. The young women of Hillsboro varsity team are scrutinized, belittled, mentally humiliated regularly. Examples of these include telling girls that they are poison. This coach had 2 girls with injuries telling other girls how badly they play. These are just a couple of examples. This coach does not like parental involvement. Her practices are closed from parental supervision. She does not talk with the parents in a positive manner.
Mrs. Reno, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to,
That's
I
fine.
have to stop you. Mr. Reed.
My name is Mark Reed. I am a lifelong resident of Hillsboro, an alumni from the class of '85. I am here to also speak about volleyball and the treatment of our players. This has been going on for a number of years. We have met with members of the high school that are in, well, I can't say their positions, but they're higher ups.
I'm sorry, Mr. Reed. I've got to stop because getting into specific personnel.
So, this person has disbanded what was a feeder program called the Hillsboro Hitters because she could not be in charge. We have not had any players getting scholarships, which
Mr. Reed, can I ask you and Mrs. Reed to, if you would, sign up to talk in executive session? And we can get into.
would this be an executive session with all of the board members?
Yes.
And could we request the other people to be there also? Or would it be a closed session with just the board members?
It'd be a closed session with just the board members.
And could we set that time up today?
That's what this meeting's about. Let us hear about it.
We can set that up. We would have to amend the agenda for the closed session. Please, we would have to amend the agenda tonight to have you speak in closed session tonight, in executive session. If the board is willing to do that, then we would do that.
How many what? Supporters here?
So, is that satisfactory?
I don't know how many supporters are here, but however many you need, I can get.
Everybody needs support here.
I understand, Mr. Yes, absolutely, I understand.
We have tried to resolve this without coming to this point, but the people that we have entrusted to handle this prior to this have failed to do so. They have been so I'm sorry, but if we need to speak in an executive session, I would be happy to do that.
Okay,
And
we will amend that agenda, and then we'll invite you into executive session this evening after the open session is closed.
thank you very much.
Thank you. Next is Chris Maney. Yeah, 3 minutes.
First of all, I'd like to thank the board for taking the time to meet with us tonight. We are actually here to discuss item XM on your agenda tonight. As you know, Nurses to Go has been servicing disabled students in your district since the 2010-2011 school year. At the July 23rd meeting, the board approved 6-0 to allow us to continue that contract for the 2015-16 season. I'm here tonight because I got a very upset phone call from one of the parents of one of our children that we take care of in the home and come to your school. She was concerned because our workers that we sent in good faith, based off your July 23rd approval vote, showed up to your school last Monday and were notified that a new agency would be taking over and that they needed to sign up with them or be forced to go home and not work at the school. I've tried calling certain individuals' offices numerous times to ask for an explanation, a response. Someone was actually nice enough to talk to me today, and they said they'd get more information and get back to me. I did not hear back, but at the end of the day, looking at the agenda, it appears that the excuse is we closed our Festus office or we're merged with a national company. At the end of the day, local presence is why we're going with a new agency, I've heard. The agency you're voting on tonight's literally 6 miles from our St. Louis branch, so local agency really has no bearing there. As well as our Festus office is temporarily, it was never an office, it's always been a hub to establish a presence in this community. What we've done is pull all our employees back to St. Louis branch for additional training and compliance, and we have full faith that we'll be sending individuals back into the Festus branch. So I guess in closing is, I guess we just need to know tonight they're going to vote on a new agency. A new agency that I don't know if they've embedded. The parents are upset that this agency is going to take care of the kids. The school board has every right to choose whatever agency they would like. I just don't know what happened between July 23rd and now with me calling and asking questions of why this new agency is there and getting no responses. And why a new agency would be in the school since last Monday taking care of handicapped kids without the board's approval to have this agency in your school district. And that's all I have. If anybody has any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
And again, thank you, everybody. Thank you for allowing us to come here this evening. At the end of the day, the family is asking us, they have been since last, so actually received an upset phone call today from Dad, who is speaking on behalf of his nurses. The easy concept in healthcare, especially in home care, is happy nurses equals happy patients. The nurses are not happy because they were forced again on last Monday to actually sign up with an agency that they did not want to do so. So we asked why the change, why not notify the family and current provider, and who provided the false communication about our operations. And thank you for your time.
If you vote no tonight,
Yes,
our
if you,
nurses, it's our nurses that are here that were forced to go to the other agency on Monday. If you vote no tonight, it's business as usual.
This other agency is using our nurses to take care of the kids in your school district. And we've always had a great track record with you. So I would ask that you vote no tonight, and that the superintendent's office sign our contract to make it official, which they haven't done since July 23rd. And then we can not have upset parents, and we have happy workers and a happy school district. And that's really what we came here to ask. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. It's an agenda item we'll talk about.
Okay, thank you.
In each of them. Mr. Harrison, that's a separate agenda item. Later on the agenda, we'll talk about that whenever we get to item. Next, we have the action items by consent. I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda items. Mrs. Petrie, do I have a second? Mr. Stevenson? Those in favor of approving the consent agenda items, please raise your hand. 5. Those opposed? 2. 5 to 2. Consent agenda item passes. Next, we have the reports. Superintendent's report, please.
I sent home to you the superintendent's report. Just a couple of things I want to call your attention to. I know we have a lengthy agenda this evening. Thanks to all the parents that are here this evening supporting their cause. We appreciate you on behalf of the board coming out and speaking to them this evening. I'd like to mention our back-to-school numbers. We had 3,512 students enrolled for the first day of school. We had 3,398 attend. It's about 95% attendance. So our numbers are up a little bit this year. We'll provide you more information next month on actual numbers. We have enrolled about 20 to 25 new students since the first day of school. Insurance claims, as you read there, we had 7 buses in the fleet that were totaled. The insurance company paid out for all the buses collectively $43,467. One of the buses, according to the Transportation Department, needed to be purchased back for parts to be used. Had a lot of good parts on that bus we wanted to use, as well as a 1994 Dodge work van that was totaled. It was also down at the bus garage during that storm. One of the questions brought up to me to kind of do some research on was the FEMA money reported in the Jefferson County Leader. We've been trying to get a hold of Director Warren Robinson. According to the Leader today, it's going to be somewhat limited for businesses to try to access that money. So if you point your attention to there, if you'd like to read up more on FEMA's designation of what entities and groups would receive that money. Also, if you kind of scroll toward the bottom, I wanted to point out most of you are going to see the kids are going to come home and say, why is there a poster in the bathroom? By law, we had to post some neglect signs If parents use the restrooms here in this facility, they'll also see them. They're posted in English and in Spanish. That is because of Senate Bill 341 that passed in 2015 that requires all public schools to clearly, visibly locate in their schools the toll-free hotline for students to get in touch of if they've encountered any type of abuse or neglect. Also, call your attention to the upcoming events. September 1 through the 3, our auditors will be on site to begin our audit. And also on September the 2nd, you should have received a confirmation email about the MSBA Board Superintendent Conference. If you're leaving from here, I know Director Stewart works in the city, and so does Director Lewis, but anyone wanting to leave from here would be more than happy to carpool up that way. If you cannot attend, please let us know. I believe they're requesting 4 members to go to that work session, so I'm sure we'll have to check and post that. We'll be discussing any board business that night, but however we will be together, we don't need a semblance of any impropriety. All right, so that's what I have for you. Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Next, we have Facilities and Grounds Report, Mr. Bess.
Good evening. In the report I sent to you and everything, I'm just going to do a quick recap so we can ask any questions like up here. The information I sent to you concerning the waiting for the insurance claim to come back, and we were also going to talk about with the buses. This also included damage throughout the school district. We have finally got confirmation from Music with the David Anderson. We have completed also and got the bus fence back up in proper control, so the bus lot will be protected. We will have the power pole put back in the high school old field probably within the next 2 weeks, and the retaining wall that is in damage that control or protect our switch towers will be put up this weekend. So
Who's putting it up?
it's a local vendor. Marta is the one that got it.
Can you tell us how much it's costing us?
Yes, sir. The claim came in for, and out of the 3 bids that the insurance company got to look at, the bid came in at $18,500.
That's
Okay.
sure.
The insurance is paid
It's an insurance claim, sir. So,
You gotta pay the bill. And they pay us.
they can pick that. That's in the check out. Also, you'll see also we were following up on the sinkhole situation here at the intermediate and the east side here. We did have our architect, or district architect, come in. He brought in some engineering from Dutch Internet Enterprises, which is out of Jackson. They're looked at it already. They do agree that there is the issue there, and they have issues with information to what it would cost us to look at that, for them to bring a camera system in. We are looking at some dollar amounts. We are looking at some other vendors, corporations around here that might be able to do the same type of work. Because right now we're looking at about $1,800 for them to come in and find out what is the problem underground. But we do have an issue, definitely for sure. So, primary, I just put on there that we also finished the weatherproofing project that was completed at a cost of $36,000. That was great, so that the building is protected for many years to come. Additionally, we just wanted to show you guys that we did process about 1,000 work orders for the whole year. Our year starts July 1, of course, as well. And completed the 600,000 square foot of buildings. Hope that everyone's enjoying the floors. They look nice. So, lighting, I don't have a picture of you tonight. We was going to try to show you some pictures, but we did go trying to protect our students and our staff as well with lighting, extra additional lighting. You each have put an extra pole up between the elementary and the junior high now, so that long sidewalk is being lit, as well as the roadway for safety of travel. So it looks real good. We also added some more lighting back by the Amex between the main building and junior high and the Amex. lighting that area up for safety purposes. So, we also let you know that all of our annual reports, inspections will be completed within the next 2 weeks. We only have one more with the backflows to finish, and the other thing out there will be the elevators that the state does in December. So that is a report. Yes, sir.
I was over to a softball game, and I walked by that gator. All four of them tires are bald, and it looks like I don't know what. And you made a comment that was maintenance, and I want to tell you again, that gator was not bought for maintenance. It was bought for the AD to run back and forth to that sports complex.
Well, they're the only one using it.
You was around, but I was on the board when it was brought up and when it was built. So, you know, my boat just didn't come in yesterday. I do know what I'm talking about.
They're the only one using it, so.
Director Harrison, I just want to let you know that you are right. Those tires are bald, and we are checking into that. We actually have a parent that has a tire company that's looking to sell the tires to the district at cost. So we're waiting to get a bid and quote on that.
So it can blow out. So we let them blow out.
Or
and then we'll
getting tires.
You know, I learned a long time ago that you protect yourself. You don't wait for something to happen and then do it. You do it before it happens. We wouldn't have all this here. We would protect ourselves. You know, I don't understand that. And maybe something doing this.
Mr. Harrison, do you have any other questions about the report? Okay.
I just wanted to tell him again.
We have no unfinished business at this time, so we will move on to, sir.
Oh, wait a minute, folks, where you going?
Thank you, Ray. On to new business. I will entertain a motion for the approval of bills payment in the amount of $824,259.75.
Don't leave.
Mrs. Petrie, do I have a second? Mr. Lewis, any discussion?
On what?
Hearing none,
What you talking about?
all those in favor of approval of bills or payment, $824,259.75, please raise your hand. 6, 7, 7-0. Passes, motion passes. Next, we need to set a date for the 2016 tax rate hearing in September. Do I have a motion to approve setting the date for the 2016 tax rate hearing as September 24th, 2015 at 6:30 p.m. in the Learning Center? Mrs. Petrie, do I have a second? Mr. Stevenson? Any discussion on the tax rate hearing date and time? You will be there on the 24th?
We could discuss
Is
this.
that the board meeting?
Yes, 6:30.
Get out here.
You'll be here. No, 6:30.
No, I don't have to talk to you.
Okay, so any other discussion on the tax rate hearing for 2016?
Next.
Hearing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. 7-0, motion passes. Tax rate hearing the 24th at 6:30. Next, we have policy approval for policy BBFA. Okay, so before we can have discussion, I have to have a motion. So I'm going to need a motion of whether the motion motion to some version of BBFA because we have discussed a few different versions. So I will entertain a motion for some version of BBFA. Are you making the motion, Mr. Harrison?
I'm not making it on this one. I think I have the right one. Or do I have to do it?
No, if you want to make the motion on policy BBFA,
Okay. We go all the way back and well, you can't hire your relatives. All the way back, but you should have a work session to set out and figure this out. I don't take stuff what the lawyer tells me.
so can you state that concisely in a motion for me?
I want it where you can't hire your relatives. We have kids out here that look for a job and they can't get a job.
So if I understand this correctly, sir, you are wanting, you're making a motion to approve a policy BDFA in a version that allows no hiring of relatives,
On a certain degree.
which you gotta spell out the degree.
Well, but we need a work session on it. We can all get together on it.
We had a work session on it. We had a work session on it.
It doesn't matter how many work sessions we have, John.
Then, okay, so what motion are you wanting to make, sir?
The motion is, I want to make it where you have to, you can't hire relatives all the way back to the primary. Nobody gets hired in this district.
So I have a motion on the floor to approve policy BBFA in a version that allows no hiring of relatives.
Words come out.
Is that what you're saying, or not? But
I'm saying
I need to know what the
word.
motion is.
I want a work session to discuss this. And we're going to go all the way back. You can't hire your relatives, so it's fine.
Okay, so let me try that. I'm trying to get this straight here. So you're wanting to make a motion to, or you want to table this to have a work session so we can discuss this? So table the approval?
Let's do it that way.
So you are making a motion to table the approval of policy BBFA? Okay.
And I think they wait a minute. I don't think that the administrators or anybody else should be allowed to come to our court and tell us what to do. No one.
Sir, that's totally, okay. So is your motion to table the approval of policy BBFA?
Yeah, let's set a date.
We can talk about that during the discussion part. Seconded by Mr. McCrow. Okay, discussion on tabling the approval of policy BBFA, which can include setting a date for a work session.
I'm retired, so I can be here to be depressed.
Is there any other discussion on tabling BBFA? There is a deadline of September 15th. In my reading, I discovered that the only thing that missing that deadline would do would make all of us have to file a long form with the Missouri Ethics Commission instead of the short form, and then any candidates for the next election would also have to file a long form.
There's not a fine?
There's not a fine. It's just whether you're filing the long form or the short form for the Missouri Ethics Commission. So
What's the difference?
about 30 minutes.
Well, to me, this is something that has been hanging over us, and it's been something that I...
But I also think it's worth something that's worth getting right.
Well, and I agree with you 100%.
Further discussion.
What we advised you not to, that the last sentence was not right.
We were, I believe the advice we received was that it would be best to keep it just with state law and not to hone down any further than what state law is. So is there any other discussion about having the about tabling this and having a work session. Mr. Harrison?
The only reason that we should take and comply by the state law, the way they got it, is that they can continue on doing whatever they want to do. I've been here for 11 to 12 years. The vote just didn't come in on me.
Thank you.
The vote just didn't come in.
No, what about the town? We need to focus our discussion on the motion, which is tabling passing this.
And just like you said, it was told that we had to want to keep it the way the state has it. But we don't have to do that. We are the board. And these kids don't have nowhere to go but go to McDonald's with their 4-year degrees. And I'm going to keep hammering that. And get people in here that they say that they ain't got nothing because it's their friend. Or something like that. We got to change this stuff. And the board's going to have to get more involved in what's going on. You can't shut me down every time I open my mouth.
Is there any more discussion on tabling the approval of policy BBFA?
Well, I agree we need to maybe fix a few statements here and there, but we've worked on this countless times, and we haven't come up with it the way you want it to be, and that's why you still want us to work on it some more.
It's simple. It's simple. We get into trouble all the time because we don't have that kind of a policy. We allow people to come here and get a job at 10 years or 15 years. We don't look about no money, what it costs us. You know, I want to see people get a job, not my friend.
But that's the situation you keep giving to us, is that your friend didn't get the job.
That's right, and I'm going to tell you that, because that's committees. You pick committees, but the committees are told by the people that run them. Am I right? Plus, you wouldn't take a job here anyway.
I'm not sure what you just meant by that.
The committees, you can't have committees to run. I've been on a lot of jobs. Walk out there, I get it by looking at me and my ability to do the job. People that know me, they know I can do the job.
Is there any more discussion that's relevant to tabling policy BBFA?
I know I'm gonna say.
No more discussion. Okay, all those in favor of tabling the approval of policy BBFA, please raise your hand. Motion passes 7-0. In light of that, well, we can talk down at the very end about setting a date for a work session. Okay, next is policy GCD, which we were going to amend because we're going to revise because of policy BBFA. So do I have a motion to table, I'll consider a motion to table policy GCD. Mr. Stevenson, and second, was it Ms. Petrie? Did you second it? Okay. So tabling that one. Any discussion on tabling policy GCD? Hearing none, those in favor of tabling policy GCD, please raise your hand. Motion passes 7-0. Thank you. Next, we have GCI, which was, is connected as well. So I will entertain a motion to table policy GCI. Mr. Lewis, second. Mr. Stevenson, any discussion on tabling policy GCI? Hearing none, those in favor of tabling the approval of policy GCI, please raise your hand. 7-0, motion passes. Thank you. Next is policy GDC. Is that related also? That is also related to policy BBFA. So I will entertain a motion to table policy GDC. Mr. Harrison, you making that motion? Second, Mr. Lewis. Any discussion on tabling policy GDC? Hearing none, I will, please raise your hand to approve tabling policy GDC. Motion passes 7-0. Thank you. Next, policy GDBA. GDBDA. Yeah, I'm sorry. Lots of letters. Dr. Isaacs.
Those are these two policies back to back, the one that with our MOU that we changed related to our leave days. Ms. Atwood at MSBA said that we should have further clarification to assist payroll department that on the MOU it says 12 days used in that given year will be deducted prior to your accumulated personal, not and so, and the state plainly as such, so that it was common.
Can you speak into a microphone, please? Thank you.
I'll restate it. When we had changed how the leave date designations as a part of our negotiations, changing from the 12 just leave days to differentiating between the sick and personal. And at the bottom of that statement on the MOU, it specifies that all 12 days in a given year will be used prior to accessing like my years from that I had banked personally. And so that gives a clear directive to our payroll department as they're taking it off our new paychecks, that before they'll go to prior years, those 12 are used first. And then GDEA, which is at the bottom, you changed in June. That's within GDBDA. It talks about workman's comp and getting benefits up to 100%. That brought us out of compliance as we were going through this. We noticed that GBEA, which actually deals with workman's comp, they did not update that, and they're correcting that, but that's before you tonight.
Thank you. So I will entertain a motion to approve policy GDBDA. Mrs. Petrie. Second by Mrs. Welker. Any discussion on policy GDBDA? Hearing none, those in favor of approving policy GDBDA, please raise your hand. Passes 7-0. Thank you. Next, I'll entertain a motion to approve policy GCBDA. Mr. Harrison first. Do I have a second? Ms. Petrie. Any discussion on the approval of policy GCBDA? Hearing none, those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes at 7-0. Thank you. Next, you have policy GBEA. I will entertain a motion to approve policy GBEA. Mrs. Welker? Do I have a second? Mrs. Petrie? Any discussion on policy GBEA? Hearing none, those in favor of approving policy GBEA, please raise your hand. 6, those opposed? Mr. Mr. Harrison, are you for, against, or abstaining?
No, I'm trying to think how many times have we read this? It's the first, or second, or third?
This is to come into compliance with our to keep all of our policies because of the MOU that we agreed to. Remember how we had to get these policies in line for leave because of the MOU agreement that we entered into after negotiations? So is that a for, against, or abstain?
I'll go.
Is that, it's for? Okay. 7-0, motion passes. Thank you. Okay, next, we have approving the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, Part B. Do I have a motion to approve the local compliance plan and provide DESE with the signed certification agreement? Mr. Lewis, do I have a second? Mrs. Beecher. I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on approving the IDEA Act or the IDEA Part B?
Is that a policy or just a contract?
This is approving of the plan, compliance plan, of the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. Mr. Harrison.
John, did you get your,
Yeah, first or second, I thought you had a question, I'm sorry. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I will, we have a motion and a second on the floor to approve the local compliance plan and provide DESE with the signed certification agreement for the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, Part B. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes 7-0, thank you. Next, concerning coaching evaluation schedule and timelines, do I have a motion to approve the changing of coaches' evaluations and the time frame for which they are completed as recommended? Mr. Lewis first. Do I have a second? Mrs. Petrie, second. Discussion on the changing of the evaluation schedules and timelines.
Changing some of these things tonight, your attention to this, about the evaluation, things like that. What the consideration is, more input to us about it. About some of the folks. That's all.
The timeline that was developed, is this different than in the past, since I wasn't here before?
In the past, we've done all of our coaching and sponsor evaluations and presented them in April or May, late in the school year. And with sports being year-round now, is you get into situations where it's not entirely timely. If there was a fall coach and there was an issue where that person's leaving and you don't evaluate them or present it to the board until a winter, be it a basketball position or a baseball in the spring, is you do that evaluation in June after the season. As it is, our spring coaches, they're being recommended for rehire before the end of their current season. They haven't even finished their season. They're in the middle of it. So you don't get a true evaluation there, but then it's more timely. And so year-long sponsors, like a class sponsor, would still be at the end of the school year.
Any other questions?
are you just bringing this up, starting this? Are you just starting this?
For this year, if you,
Just bringing,
yes.
who's going to get evaluated? The coaches?
The coaches evaluate.
Evaluating each other?
And Mr. Marino evaluates the head coaches, along with the building principal, or Mr. Allison at the junior high with junior high coaches.
I don't think there's any difference.
It is different though.
cross-country's done, you don't wait till next year to evaluate
Well,
the
I
coach.
can understand that, but I'm trying to figure out who's gonna do it, because these kids in cross-country, they're coaching themselves. And I wanna know, who's gonna be involved. Is there gonna be some board members involved in this? I would love to be on a verse to evaluate somebody. But you say evaluate, now that's what that is.
Is there any other discussion?
So when the evaluations are complete, they come to the board, and then the board approves or doesn't approve the evaluation.
The process as far as presenting them to the board will be the same as it has been in the past. It's just going to be, instead of a big binder of every coach, it's going to be your fall sports coaches, head coaches, and assistants. And being it's an extra duty, you know, if something would change later on in the year, the district is still, I mean, we're not bound, you know, making that decision that early in the year. If a teacher would leave the district, you know.
And it's not necessary, we're not doing the rehire at that point, it's just the evaluation that's coming at that point. The rehires would still occur late in the year, am I right?
Well, we would present, here's the evaluation, and the rehire for that sport would be at that time. That would be the intent. So that they know, you know, as they're developing off-season plans and all that.
Are we gonna evaluate them like we do the teachers?
We do hand in evaluation.
Does the board get to see what the evaluation is? You know, I mean, it's not gonna do us any good if a coach, just say, a coach is not a good coach, and then we don't get a chance to see it. I can see, show you right now, that there's coaches who are spending money on it. They shouldn't even have a job. So are we gonna just keep on snowing it in and covering it up and let them keep on keeping their jobs? That's what I want. You're gonna spend $4,000 or $5,000 on a person, I think.
You better get a good person.
Yeah, I can see them being waiting for 3 years of a new coach trying to get the rest of things, but when you got a long coach who's been here for a long time, I think we should have more information, and it's just not anybody can evaluate it.
Well, our hope is that information is timely and
Are you
relevant.
going to be involved in it?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Any other discussion on the coaching evaluation schedule and timelines? Hearing none of those, I have a motion and a second to approve the changing of coaches' evaluations to the time frame for which they're completed as recommended. Those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes 7-0. Thank you. Next, regarding the 2015-16 bus routes, do I have a motion to approve the 2015-16 bus routes as presented? Mr. Harrison. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Lewis, second. Any discussion on the bus routes?
Nope.
Hearing none? Yes, Mr. Lewis.
I think there's a possibility we'd like to add one, maybe two more special needs routes. So we're working on how the kids moving in, adjusting that. Other than that, this is what we present tonight.
I do have a question. In light of the damage to buses and having several total, how are we covering the crowns.
Got the food buses in today, the order back to the years. And located one used bus that is for, and then we located one retrieving one of the buses. I want to be very careful because there's some others coming up in the later probably grab one of them. And then we'll make sure we do the right fit and we'll find.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. Any other discussion on the approval of the bus routes this year? Hearing none, I have a motion and a second to approve the 2015-16 bus routes as presented. All those in favor, please raise your hand. 7-0. Thank you. The motion passes. To the next item, reading and math tutoring program. Who's going to speak to this, Mr. Dr. Yes, Dr. Atkinson.
All right, after the last board meeting, we were asked to go and explore trying to improve our reading and math and tutoring. And we had, with some movement, some available funds, that we went and raise our salary allocation with salary numbers due to some departed staff members. And so we had a goal of keeping that number of what we could do with $35,000, speaking with Ms. Genge and with our balances. And so our administrators, Mr. Riednauer, Dr. Costin, and Ms. Hildebrand, worked collectively to create a K-6 program that was modeled a lot after the primaries model. And from K-4, it's very close, and then Mr. Riednauer was going to focus on reading interventions second semester. And you can see in the allocation where what the amount of the tutoring budget would have had to have been increased. Since during the middle of doing that, we have some student needs that have to be met, and we had to hire some additional staff, which will be presented this evening to meet student needs, which is about $40,000 for those two positions. So, visiting with Ms. Genge is we're unsure at this time that we don't feel confident making that recommendation to add the 40, additional 35, that's $75,000 here with some potential student issues still hanging out there for us that we may require some additional staffing. So as soon as we get a firm handle on that, and if anything would change, we would present that back to you. Yes.
I'll tell you again, I've been here for 11, 12 years, right? Old system come in on me. We need extra people in the primary, and I've said it, we need math teachers. The teachers can't do everything. You gotta have extra people to help out. But we never, ever say, well, I'm gonna lot this money to get us the teachers to help these kids with math. I've been in these rooms where I've had to help a kid get started on math. And I'm not blaming no teacher for that kid not being able to start out, because you can, what is it, 25, 30, 25 in a room. I can't even handle 2 kids. That's simple. And myself, I know how it is if it don't click in my head, it ain't gonna happen. We gotta have people, and we have to quit this stuff of doing something else with our money. And these boards don't have to stand
instead of going for the moon, because 34,000, when I looked at that, I was like, whoa. And, you know, I did ask some questions, and I found out about the student needs, et cetera. What if we, $8,500 for this first semester, get the primary and the elementary building, and up the K, go ahead and expand it to 27 weeks, $100 a day, which, okay, primary, where's our mathematician? 3 days, 27 weeks, $100 a day, 2 tutors. They already have $14,000 in the budget. So that's, for the primary building, is an additional $2,200. The elementary, 27 weeks, 3 days, $100 a day, 2 tutors. They already have $9,900 in their budget, which is additional $6,300. And the intermediate isn't requesting anything until second semester. So at least that would give them some help for a total of $8,500 in those 2 buildings, K through 4. Okay?
I'm gonna invite them up. And here's what the plan presented is the numbers, like the 6 hours a day, 3 hours a week, is in some of the buildings, like at the elementary, is totally revamping their current tutoring system.
Right.
Because they have 4 teachers that split and come in their tutoring program, and they get so much an hour for doing that, and that's how they've been compensated. Mr. Riedauer has a different
Haven't they been getting $75 an hour, or a day, for, like, substitute pay? Was that my understanding, you two? And that, to my understanding, that was kind of where this issue rose, when in the primary building, they hadn't been bumped up in salary for that period of time. And so the $25 an hour was kind of like overwhelming, which is where the $34,000 came from. This is during the day. It's not, shouldn't be considered, you know, time and a half like before and after school tutoring. And so to me, when I looked at that, that was kind of a cheaper compromise, but still helping our kiddos that need help.
Well, how this money was allocated, each building gets a tutoring budget.
Yes.
And so the allocation at the primary, and there's some history there with the ARA money, is they have an awesome thing going.
Right.
And when that money dried up, Dr. Costin, you know, maximized her resources, and those staff members took a big cut in pay to do that, because each building has a per pupil expenditure for the tutoring, and those are the funds. And so, and that's a Ms. Gench question regarding, that's tutoring funds. So one building, their per pupil goes up, you know, doubles essentially on their allocation, potentially.
If we went to the projected 34.3.
Yes, in order to get their pay at a $25 an hour.
I'm suggesting to go ahead and expand the program, but do it at a less expense, $100 a day. So those people, tutors, are still getting a little bit of raise, not $25 an hour, but the kids are still getting it.
Can I call in the experts on this?
Yes, I'm waiting.
Mr. Raynauer, Ms. Hildebrand, Dr. Costi?
I got something to say on this. Miss Peters.
What? I can't hear you very well.
Well, you will.
Probably so.
We should compromise some kids' education.
That's what I'm trying not to do, is to give them the services.
Did I ask 2 reading teachers? Mrs. Coast asked me to. I've been asking for more help ever since I've been on this board, to start over there and get these kids, and then come on around over to her, and then to Scott, and then wherever we want to go. But you come up, we're going to do these here revaluation. I'm sorry. I didn't revalue
The 2
somebody.
reading teachers, there's, to hire 2, that's the title, 1 funds. To add those additional, then you could use, and I don't want to speak to Title I, and how that's used, that's probably a Ms. Ray question.
It's a plant problem.
A supplanting problem, where long-term,
The district will have to continue to pay for it rather than reallocating
federal funds, because Title I, once you started as a district, you can no longer take the federal, your local funds away and supplant federal funds. It's against the rules. So in order for that to happen, the district has to use the Title I funds to allocate the money. But in this instance, we were supplementing, as Dr. Isaacson spoke to, the program currently in place, which is different than adding new positions.
We took, correct me if I'm wrong, we took money that Mrs. Colston had as tutors. When you first got them two part-timers, okay, used money that we had for tutors. And it should not, we should stop this stuff, allowing people to just, well, how about us doing this? Well, how about us doing that? You know, state motor, it would have never been built if we would have just kept on listening to what people had to say and the board had to say. I had to say, hey, we need it, you done promised people, we need to get it done. Get some money from out of your bank account and get the job done. We're going along, and we're spending all the money we had given by the government, and had plans, and our kids are no further along than they was. So we have to do it. I'm not cutting you down or nobody else, but I'm trying to tell you, we're spending our money the wrong place.
So, when you're talking about, first of all, I thought we were talking about four. The last meeting we were talking about four. Now we recommended two. When we walked out the door, I was pretty sure we were gonna hire four. Four paras. So the two. I thought we were talking about four.
I was told I was going to get two leading teachers too.
Or two at primary and two at elementary, correct?
Well,
Right.
the tutors, well, let me back up. Did we make a mistake when we hired the two in the summer or whenever it was? They came in and wrote to us in your building to come and go and they wanted to make a lot. So did we screw up? I'm just asking. I mean, I'm not.
Don't answer, don't put her on the spot.
Well, I'm not saying screwed up. I'm saying could we have used it towards?
I can say
Well-
that we need help at primary as well as the intermediate, and we get these needs, and we would like to, we have plans
That was
to
my
connect.
I
And
agree.
we'd like to see a budget, and we would want budget to work with this proposal based on the budget and student budget.
After we did this, the tutors currently contracted.
Yes.
And we talked about this. Have we done, is this part of the, whatever the fix was on the last?
yes.
Is this part of the fix?
This was to try, instead of just saying, hey, here you get double the money for the same thing that we did. And Dr. Koski, one of the things we extended it 4 weeks because of those kids. You can speak to that.
We said it for weeks because what happens is our family runs out with the school year. Or it's a transition. And it's a big thing not to have tutoring when you're kids, you need to have an educator and parents who are, that's not a good choice.
Right.
So we're asking your extended. And then also, we have to be paid. And could I use more? Of course. Does the budget allow that? I want you to at this time. Or does it not allow?
I'm all for it, but I just thought we had two more, which I was really for. And I want to make sure the fix is part of this.
You're talking about the board says, we want to read, go on to that's what the board's going to have to say.
Money, you have four, you have eight, it's just a matter of money, and you can research and what you invest. We also have needs for kids, and I know this building and all of them, but that she has some immediate needs in place, and with support of other students. So, the balance between one is
Commissioner McCarthy.
We have two experienced teachers now, you're saying about those two folks came back. Now messed us up. I think that they were experienced and need to come back, and they were treated fairly shabbily when you have that much experience. You don't let them go like that, especially.
My concern is that you said it was brought to.
I want more, but I think those students stay because they can develop other people, bring other people in. We need an extra few, and that's the strongest place. You got to start with the primary. If they don't learn how to read in the primary, you won't be reading. You can evaluate all you want.
Can you explain it? I think you might be confused with this.
I think you're talking about title money, and this is about local tutoring money. So those are two separate instances. So
Yeah, but they all came together though. At that time.
But you're talking about two different situations. We were given the task of putting together a tutoring program for the kids at the primary, at the elementary, at the intermediate. Okay. And so that's the task we were given. Sure. That, what you're talking about, regardless, we were asked to address, look at, or deal with. We were asked to look at tutoring and improving reading and support for reading and math in the K through 6. So that's what this is.
We went for this bond meeting. I'm trying to see that what time it was. Then the government give us the money, or we have a program where we, have reading every day.
Are you talking about the ERA money?
Yes, it's error money. I'm talking to.
And then,
But you see what I'm saying?
yeah, but that ran out.
We all know, and I know you guys can't say.
Right. Yeah, we had to use it, and so we used it, and then what we did was we translated that into using the same structure because it was helping. So we
still need help. You know, when I was up to college, so help me. I was up at the college and I'm talking to a friend of mine. And here come one kid. Said, did you make 80% on your reading test? Nope. Here come another. Did you make 80% on your reading test? Nope. Here come another. Did you? Nope. So that sort of tells me, and then when I watch these kids, because you know I'm always around the kids, and looking and seeing, and I got a bunch of them on my Facebook. When they go off to college and they come back in 6 months, it's, well, I had to get back here, I have to make up some more money. I don't believe that. That's kids, they can't do it. And then when I'm in another place, and I couldn't even pay my bill because the girl didn't even have a calculator. You know, I'm telling you, we need to spend some money, and we're paying good money for people to figure this out for us. I should be the one saying this. If I can see it, we need.
We can't move until we have a motion. We're just talking about what to do with this, this feature.
I guess my question is the financial. Is there $8,500 available for us to do this, those two buildings at $100 per day to get them started, and then we'll deal with Scott's building in December, January? Because if you go with $100 a day, it's significantly cheaper than going with $25 an hour.
Why cheat and get out of it?
I'm trying not to give the services, still give the services to the kids, but not at a cost of $34,500 because it is a tutoring situation.
I know where our balances are very close to anything coming in, we're about 2.4%. We increase salary.
Right.
And we may have some special ed needs. So it's really up to the board, the more I guess my fear is just where our balance is. could end up, if we have such a need to come up, we already know we do have. Based on the proposed.
I'm not in favor of putting the Band-Aid on for 6 inches. So
I will make a motion.
Okay, Ms. Peters, you gonna make a motion? Well, she's gonna make a motion first.
I'm going to move that we begin extending the primary and elementary building for 27 weeks at $2,000 per day. And then we will discuss Scott's later. That's the 8,500. That's this topic, but instead of doing $24 an hour, it would be increase their pay from $75 to $100 a day. We could do both of those buildings, extend to 27 weeks for $8,500. That's two bill, no, that's the primary and elementary. Primary needs an extra $2,200. The elementary needs $6,000, according to these figures that are here. And all I'm doing is changing $25 per hour to $100 a day.
What about adding the reserve?
The two paras are not part of this.
Paragraph.
That's executive session that we haven't done yet.
That's not,
Yeah.
that's,
So, if I want to make sure I have the synopsis of your motion,
Okay.
unless you have one written down there.
Well, I kind of do.
But I tell you what, if you would read that and then give a copy of it to Beth, so that she has, that they in here, so she has the right information in minutes.
I move to extend the primary and elementary building tutoring program to $27 or 27 weeks with a pay of $100 per day.
Okay.
That would be a total of $8,500. Intermediate building, I'll bring it back.
Okay. So you heard the motion. Is there a second? Mr. Harrison, you second? Second, Mr. Lewis. Discussion. Mr. Harrison.
I was told that we was to get to me. Okay? I don't care about Scott Hadley, but our first goal should be to get out here in the primary. I'm going to keep saying this every meeting, we bring up something that if it was my kid, we'd get it. We would get it if it was my kid. But you got a whole bunch of kids. I don't just love one, I love them all. And I'm not going to just sit down and just because they're not my kid, say no to them. If they're handicapped, I don't care. Whatever. But just because I don't have a handicapped kid, I'm not going to sit back and say, well, I don't have a handicapped kid. We got to take care of these kids and get them educated. Get out of the world, you'll see where these kids can't hardly read. They can't do math.
Is there any more discussion pertinent to the motion on the table to extend the primary and secondary tutoring program to 27 weeks at $100 a day? Mrs. Weber.
So this proposal, though, is only up to January,
Well, and then we can talk about
and then look at it then, because the intermediate time.
Right. Because intermediate wasn't even on here until January. They weren't doing anything in the second semester.
So we will revisit this then.
Yes.
So is that the motion?
Yes, that is to revisit the intermediate.
Okay, make sure you give
I will.
a written copy of that to Beth Ann, please.
And can I ask Scott a question? Like yours is like before school and after school. Those before school sessions and after school sessions with your age student, are they happy? Are the kids showing up all the time? Or are there tutors that are there sometimes that they're there for the kids sometimes?
They are effective. We do have a problem with sometimes kids that need it don't show
Don't
up.
show up.
That is nice why we want to be more about because captive audience. it is a nice transition to the junior high. The reason we didn't put anything in the first semester is because we wanted to evaluate where kids are fit at, see how our exam system is working, and then target those students where it's not being very effective. So this is the first semester to do that. And so it would be during the day, so we would have before school, after school, and then that would be second semester
During the day. You're a little bit more expensive. Well, at $100 a day, though, it does get you down to $6,400.
Any other discussion on this item? Mr. Harris?
And I don't think this is the way to go. You know, I had no problem going to any school on the weekends for 11, 12 years. I can see that, I don't know why the rest of the board members and the rest of the board is, that the school district can see our kids can't read, can't do math. When you change something, and the district, most of the parents can't do the math because they can't help them. They're going to change the way we do things. I'm battling for 2 teachers. That's what I want.
Okay.
We ought to turn it down. We've been saying this for the last 12 years I've been here. Well, we're going to get this research. No, I haven't seen it.
Any other discussion?
That's it.
Thank you. So we have a motion and a second on the floor to extend the,
Special ed needs, we have an increase in special ed students, is that correct? And so it's possible there will be a need for additional funds for those students. So the theory behind reducing this somewhat would be to reserve money for our special ed students that we weren't anticipating. Okay. That's what I wanted to point out.
okay, I have a motion and a second on the floor to approve extending the primary and elementary to tutoring programs for math and English to 27 weeks at $100 per day and revisiting the intermediate in January. All those in favor, raise your hand.
At the school? No.
There's 5. Is that,
No,
all those in favor?
Insurance.
We have 5 in favor. All those in favor, 5. Those opposed? Those opposed? Okay. 5-2. Motion passes. Thank you. Next, we have the approval of the purchase card listing. Do I have a motion to approve the purchase card listing as presented, Mr. Lewis? Do I have a second? Mrs. Peach. Ms. Peach. Yeah, we have first, second. Is there any discussion? Mrs. Peach.
Card number 60 on the list.
I think that is probably the one that has been revised,
Because
removed.
just wasn't on that.
Yes. Any other discussion on the purchase card listing? Hearing none, I have a motion to second to approve the purchase card listing as presented. All those in favor, please raise your hand. 5. Those opposed? 2. 5-2. Motion passes. Okay, next we have an overnight trip request. Do I have a motion to approve the overnight trip request for the boys soccer team to attend Camdenton Laker Shootout Tournament, September 25th and 26th, 2015, as presented?
So moved.
Mrs. Petrie, Mrs. Welker. Discussion on the overnight trip request.
Yes.
Mr. Harrison.
Are they gonna have chaperone? People can watch.
Chaperones.
Mr. Reed.
I want to know if we're gonna have people to be chaperones or how you want to say it, when they go down there. And if the coaches are gonna ride in that bus instead of our band.
The coaches will be riding on the bus, and the coaches will be the chaperones that are in attendance. 2 coaches and 3 coaches. Troy Brody, Sam Hanson, and Coach Shaw. 3 coaches will be in attendance as the chaperones of the trip, as they have been in the past.
We never updated that, updated our policy. That's another one that gets slid right underneath the rug. And we should have something that says somebody.
We discussed that as a board last spring or last fall.
Yeah.
In the board.
It's another one that gets pushed out, and the board does whatever they want to do.
Do you have any other, is there any other discussion on the overnight trip request?
I just want to make sure.
I have a motion and a second to approve the overnight trip request for the boys soccer team to attend the Camden Lakers Shootout Tournament September 25th and 26th, 2015 as presented. Those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes 7-0. Thank you. Approval of revised board committee assignments. We have a motion to approve the revised board committee assignments to place the board president on the foundation committee due to bylaw restriction, removing director Lisa Welker. We have a motion.
You just wanted another committee. So moved.
Mrs. Beaker, thank you. Second, Lisa Welker. Yeah, I did not ask for this, thank you. Any other discussion? Is there any discussion on the revised board committee assignments? Hearing none, that motion is second to approve the revised board committee assignments. Those in favor, please raise your hand. 7-0. Thank you. Motion passes. Next, we have the transportation handbook. Sir.
Most of these people are working morning. Are we gonna discuss it the way I would like to see it discussed out in the open? Where these people don't think that I'm lying to them?
Mr. Harrison, there are certain things that we cannot discuss
Yeah,
in open session.
that's
Moving on
fine.
to item K, transportation handbook. Do I have a motion to approve the transportation handbook as presented? Mrs. Petrie. Is there a second? Mr. Stevenson. Discussion on the transportation handbook. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I was involved in this, and this thing was a rush job, basically done, paid for it. I'm recommending table it. I would go to table it and it'd be reworked. I think there's a lot of things in here that were done right. It's really got to be made. It was less than 24 hours. Like what?
Yes.
Maybe calls in 12-hour periods, 3 or 4. Get people from one place to the other, to get something. It wasn't really finalized. There was a lot of dissension after the thing went. A lot of old bad things came about it. I would just like to sit down with everybody and go through this thing and get it straightened out. This, there's one handbook here. There's one handbook that's 3 years old. Okay? It's working all right. Really needs what we have to do. Okay? So I would, tabling would be fine. So I recommend tabling.
Would you be willing to amend your motion, to change your motion to table the approval of the handbook? And Mr. Stevenson, you agree with the second. So the motion has been amended to table the transportation handbook. So the first and second agreed on that. Is there more discussion? Mr. Harrison?
I want to be notified when we have the meeting on it. How we do on it. I think that we should get a copy right that second. If we don't, people will do whatever they want to do with the handbook. We have no clue what goes on in these handbooks. We don't even have no clue what happens with the policy. We can type in the policies around computers. We don't know that.
Any more discussion of transportation handbook? I'm sure you'll be notified when that meeting will take place. Mrs. Welker?
Mr. McCarthy?
Yeah.
How many people worked on the handbook?
You would say 6, 7, 8, about 8 people.
And they were people from within
Well, they
transportation?
were in transportation, and there was a couple of actually, it got overloaded and very smart. And I just wanted to, I don't think there was none of these represented down there.
From
We got
the-
it out, and it looked like it was a kangaroo thing, so I really would like to recommend, do something that, to, see like the vision or fix stuff. Okay?
Mr. Harrison?
Right down there, that we don't get this thing fixed. And I've seen it before. They may have a bunch of trouble over it because of a certain person who changed a lot of stuff. We sat down there one time and we all talked. And they come out good and then things started going down.
Is there any other discussion on the transportation handbook?
So my suggestion is, should we have to schedule a place to make something
Well, we don't think. Any other discussion on transportation? Hearing none, I have a motion second to table the transportation handbook. All those in favor, please raise your hand. 7-0, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Next, we have the SRO contract. I will entertain a motion to approve the 2015-16 SRO contract as presented. Mr. Lewis. Mrs. Welker. Discussion on the SRO contract for 2015-16. Hearing none, I have a motion and a second to approve the 2015-16 SRO contract as presented. All those in favor, please raise your hand. 5. I asked for discussion. There was no discussion. There's 5. Oh, I'm sorry, we're in the vote. There's 5. 5 affirmative. Are there any against? Those opposed? 5. Mr. Harrison, come line. 5 to, Mr. McCarthy, are you opposed? With, opposed? Okay, 5-2. Motion passes. Thank you. Next item I have is the contract with Integrity for nursing services. Do I have a motion to approve Integrity for nursing services as presented? I will make the motion to approve Integrity for nursing services as presented. Do I have a second? I can make any motion that any other board member can, Mr. Harrison. Yes, I can. Is there a second? Second for discussion, Mr. Lewis. Okay. Discussion on the Integrity Nursing Services contract. Mr. McCarthy. Those two gentlemen were with Nurses to Go. With nurses, gentlemen, you can have a seat, please. They were with Nurses to Go, who was the previous one, and Integrity Nursing Services is the one that is being recommended for the change. Mrs. Randall.
My recommendation is for us to approve the contract.
Can you speak up, please? Yeah, speak up. We can't hear you.
Okay. My recommendation is to approve the contract with Integrity Nursing. And it is because we have not had any communication from any parents as far as there is any type of negativity or anything in that manner. So I just, to let you know, I am in contact with all of that. And because they can provide the services and the nurses for our students that we need. Is that answering the question? I mean, that's...
Can you elaborate a little bit on why the change from the contract that we approved a month ago?
Okay, because the nurses are contracted with Integrity. And so the nurses for the students, we would like to remain the same. And so that's why we have asked to have those that are going with Integrity. Well, I would let me say that I am in contact with staff and with parents and with any students as far as what would be, and I cannot go into particulars because it would be reaching some confidentiality, but I will assure you that I have been in contact, and there has not been anyone say to me that we cannot go with Integrity because we will be able to maintain the nurses that we have currently. The nurses we have currently are contracted with Integrity. Yes, it's the same nurses. Does that explain it?
Can you, I understand, I understand that Nurses to Go was recently purchased.
Yes, it was
acquired.
purchased by another company, and that company is located in Texas, which, is not actually the issue, but the issue is that we would like to have a company that is based close to us because we have a lot of communication with the company and we need to be able to provide, there's a supervisor in the area, in the Festus area, with Integrity. And the other part of that is that we would like to maintain the nurses that we have, those personnel. That's important.
Mr. Harrison?
Y'all know that the two kids, I love them to death.
I would like to be careful about discussing
Fine.
specific students.
I am not in favor of saving somebody's job. If we got...
This is about the students. This is about the students.
No.
Yes, because I have been, okay.
May I call one of them up, please? I have to tell you, I have a right to rehear him. If you say no,
I don't know what kind of, as long as there's not information provided about our students, that's all I
well,
would ask.
that's not the thing. If we get the same coverage, not to have to change, maybe he might be giving it to us cheaper. I wouldn't know what's going on, that's all.
It's at the same rates, standard Medicaid
Same rates?
The nurses are contracted with Integrity because they were forced to Integrity Monday by the school district.
Whoa.
This is from our own nurses.
So that's your problem.
Right.
Don't be telling the school district perpetuating this collusion, because that's most certainly not the case. I don't appreciate you coming up here and telling and giving in front of the public false information that you're not privy to yourself. You're taking third-hand account information and bringing it to this public that's not true.
From my workers that have been
That's your
working
problem.
there for
You weren't
5 years.
So don't be taking your workers. You have to talk to us about
And
it.
our parent is actually, what subsequently we said, is going to send a legal affidavit about being coerced.
That's
and told
perfectly
to
fine,
this company.
but what I'm telling you is,
I'm here on behalf of the parent to say I'm not with the parent or not with someone.
And my information is that is not accurate at all about the parent.
Well, then what are we gonna do then? Let's table this until we find out. You can't.
We have to provide services to students. We have to provide these services to students.
So they were our nurses. They take care of the patient at home currently when they're not in school and have been for our organization for the last years. So how would our nurses become members of this organization out of the blue, all of them, for just this audition alone? Does that make sense to anybody? Our nurses have told us, and our nurses have told the parents that they arrived to school last Monday, and they were told they could come to school with their children, they would have to sign on with Integrity Home Services. And the parents informed us that the school district called them this week and said, if you'd like to send your kid to school, you have to use Integrity Home Services.
I also understand there's a problem with the contract sent from your home office because it's based in Texas and they did not like language to abide by Missouri state law.
So I have tried to reach Ms. Rom's office. I came by, I called, I emailed you from an email from your website. No one would explain to me what the issue was or what we could do to start the school year on properly.
Is there any other discussion? Well, we're going to take a vote, Mr. Harrison, because well, then we'll be voting here shortly, so you can either vote affirmative, negative, or you can
If you
abstain.
don't like it, then you don't have to vote.
Vote no. If we hired Integrity, are we gonna have the same exact nurses, far short, during school?
It depends on if we decide to find nurses something else with somebody with our organization. Then we're our nurses to go. Unfortunately, we do care about the children and we have let them go to Integrity for continuity of care for the child, and not to disrupt the child's continuity of care.
What's your name of your company?
Nurses to go, sir. And we are merging with a national provider, Epic, but we're licensed in Missouri. I have lived in Missouri almost my entire life. No problem with us, other than obviously some miscommunication about the contract language. But we still provided nurses Monday in good faith, our nurses that work for us.
Is there any other discussion? I have a motion and a second to approve the Integrity for Nursing Services as presented. All those in favor of approving, please raise your hand. Those opposed? One opposed. Those abstaining? Wait, let me go back. There was 2 for, there was, how many were opposed? 3 opposed and 2 abstaining? Okay, motion fails. 2. Thank you. All right, I will entertain a motion to recess, open session to go to executive session to, hold on, Mr. Harrison, to a roll call vote will be taken to enter into closed session, including approval of previous month's executive session minutes and any record or vote in accordance with revised Missouri statutes 610.021 as agenda items relating to the following legal issues: hiring, firing, disciplining, removal of employees, medical or physical health matters which identify persons, student issues, individually identifiable personnel records, and records relating to municipal hotlines established for the reporting of abuse and wrongdoing. Do I have a motion? Do I have a motion? Mrs. Petrie. Do I have a second? Mr. Lewis. All those, roll call vote to adjourn, to recess open session to adjourn to recess. executive session. Sorry.
Mr. Petrie. Mr. Stevenson.
Yes.
Mrs. Walker.
No.
To discuss.
Yes.
Mr. McCarthy.
No.
Mr. Lewis. Mr. Harrison.
No.
Motion passes 4-1. We will come together in executive session at 9:40. Pardon? That's what I said, 4-2-1. 4-2-1.
We're not doing what the people
4-2-1.
elected us to do, and that's to represent them.
10 minutes, we will gather in the learning center for the executive